All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our pre-market morning setups with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from postwavetrading.com, home of the world famous post-wave price trigger reports. All right, so we're going to jump into what's going on in the overnight markets, things that you may have missed, and all that good stuff. But I want to also remind everyone, and this is very, very important. We have switched our end of day reports to Rumble. All right. So our morning setup will still be here on YouTube at 9 a.m. thereabout. And in the evenings, around 8 p.m., we're going to do the Traders Evening pregame, and that's going to be exclusively on Rumble. So if you have been missing the end of day reports, you want to follow us over on Rumble, and the links to that are in the description of the video here. All right, so in addition to that, I also want to remind you that we're running our appreciation sale. We've been on YouTube for over 10 years now, and we want to say thank you to all of our subscribers and followers and listeners. So you can get the 1-year pro membership for $697. That's over 40% off. You can also lock in the monthly pro membership for $99. This is for a limited time only. Once the sale is gone, it is gone forever, never to return. And I cannot stress that enough. And lastly, our upcoming webinars. All right. We have webinars that we're doing, and they are announced. You can go to our website, postwavetrading.com, to know when one is scheduled. But they're going to be Wednesdays and Thursdays, normally around 11 a.m. You have the power of Team Dex. And you also have how to use the Traders Morning setups in your trading. All right. And you can find those at postwavetrading.com. You must register in order to attend. So make sure that you do that. All right. Now, let's take a look at what's happening in the overnight markets. We did have the ADP numbers that came out a little while ago, and it was not as expected. But then again, is anything as expected these days? Looking at the US dollar index to start off, it's down 42 pips at 106.57. All right, so pulling back from the 107 handle here briefly, that's given a lift to the euro up 48 pips at 105.57. And you have the pound sterling up 81 pips at 121.72. And the Aussie is up 34 pips at 63.55. The Aussie came dangerously close to dropping into the 62 handle. The overnight low was 63.04. Bitcoin futures up 300 at 27,685. The Ether futures are down 6.5 at $1,648.50. Crude oil down $1.67, down to $87.50, and we hit an overnight low of $86.96 per barrel, on its way to testing that $80 support that we have been warning you about. Nat gas finally catches a break and gets over $3. We're at $3.04 now, up 9 cents so far this morning. Gold futures up 50 cents at $1,842. The overnight low was $1,831.70. Silver futures up a nickel at $21.42 an ounce after falling to an overnight low of $21.13. Copper off a penny at $3.60. Dow futures up 44 at 33,241. NASDAQ 100 futures up 7 at 42.71 and 3/4. I'm sorry, that was the S&P 500. I'm sorry about that. The NASDAQ futures are up 47 1/4 at 1462 1/4. And the Russell is up 0.30 at 17.42 and 20 cents. And we got soybeans up a penny at $12.74 a bushel. Corn down 2 pennies at $4.85 a bushel. And wheat is down 10 cents at $5.57 per bushel. That is our overnight snapshot of what the markets have been doing. And as you guys already know, as we're halfway through the week, for the first time in American history, the House voted to vacate the office of the Speaker, booting Kevin McCarthy from his job. So what happens next? Got to wait and see, right? Well, as far as one of the big stories this morning, entitled "Screw You, Pay Me." People are tired, so they quit quitting. No longer content to just skate by while collecting a paycheck. Some workers are letting management know everything they're doing wrong. That's the takeaway from this as told to essay based on the conversation with a 31-year-old tech worker in New York. Since April, they've been openly questioning leadership, calling out management, and pushing back against their decisions. Yeah, they're calling it loud quitting. They're not alone. A June report from Gallup found that 18% of employees were actively disengaged at work. Yeah, the group seems to have embraced loud quitting. And they're referring to Generation Z. Gen Zers are very comfortable letting their bosses know what they're doing wrong. A recent survey of Gen Z workers by Adobe found 74% are happy to give upward feedback to supervisors. Nearly 90% were okay talking about their job satisfaction at the workplace. So, very interesting turn of events as people are starting to view employment under a different light and a different lens. This is analogous to the fascinating topic of workplace trends that have been unfolding since the pandemic. And remember the great resignation, the boomerang employees. Well, if you think about it, it's not to be that unexpected given the current climate of things. So that being said, there's something to consider if you want to keep up, make a big ruckus on your way out the door if you're planning on quitting. And that's what they're doing. They're just basically telling off the boss and walking out the door. In markets, one California hedge fund's aggressive non-competes could be a template for Wall Street. Restricting employees from working with rivals by offering paid leave is commonplace in finance. But the Valoyan Group's non-competes haven't always included payment. According to ex-employees, and the $5 billion quant fund has done so despite California labor laws banning the enforcement of non-competes. In other news, Ray Dalio said he doesn't want to come back to run Bridgewater. The billionaire denied a recent New York Times report saying he was considering returning to the hedge fund he founded and ran for decades. Don't trust the media, Dalio said while speaking at a conference. Understanding this will it won't recession, depending on who you ask, the U.S. economy is either likely to avoid a recession or about to face a really bad recession. LinkedIn's chief economist explains why recession is still on the table. You don't say. In tech news, the loneliest market, a gap that investors are trying to fill. New services backed by VC money are trying to help facilitate real-life interactions. Meta has been using your public Insta and Facebook posts to train AI. The company just launched a cadre of virtual assistants. Its users help train the new technology, but Meta said private messages and posts weren't touched. Yeah, like we believe that. The roadblock of getting companies to buy AI products. Well, companies are clamoring for AI, but many startups are struggling to cross the sales finish line due to issues like data concerns and education on the basics of the tech. When you don't understand how something works, you run a high degree of hurting yourself. And that's basically what people end up doing. You break something, or you end up winding up doing something that you regret later that you may not be able to undo. In business news, America could solve its housing crisis by following Tokyo's example. Housing is getting less and less affordable in American cities, as we discussed in yesterday's broadcast, even in the Sun Belt. But unaffordability isn't a problem in Tokyo, the world's biggest city. And it's largely thanks to giving developers a lot of power to build what they want when they want. JP Morgan's CEO thinks our children will only work 3.5 days a week thanks to AI. Many leaders have already been advocating for a 4-day work week. So the rise of AI could make the shortened week more possible. And what that means is that's shorthand for don't even worry about coming in for 3.5 days a week. Just stay home because AI is now taking your job. Airbnb hosts are relieved the company is planning to give them more support. CEO Brian Chesky admitted that it never fully built the foundation to match its current size. Hosts revealed a variety of issues they're excited to see addressed, including fake listings and fees. Well, also, don't forget, Airbnbs have been targeted by professional grifters and professional squatters. So, yeah, that's one of those things where if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you better find out if you plan on listing one of your properties on Airbnb. You got to know what it is you don't know and beware of the professional grifters and professional squatters that have been just plaguing the whole Airbnb scene. In other news, singer Grimes is suing Elon Musk, with whom she has 3 children, over parental relationship. A New York judge told Trump to stop posting online about his staff. From cookies to beauty products, there are free birthday items that you can get online. Gen Z workers want more training on hard skills related to their jobs instead of soft skills like communication. SoftBank-backed startup Sendeso completed another round of layoffs, its 4th round of layoffs in 16 months. So basically, every 4 months, there's been a round of layoffs at Sendoso. Mr. Beast called out TikTok for letting a deepfake version of him hawking $2 iPhones run wild on the app. Deep fakes are now becoming a thing. So your worst nightmare has now been realized. Wow. And as far as what's happening today, Made by Google product launch, the live event that they are having starts at 10 o'clock. Google is expected to announce a variety of new devices, including the Pixel smartphone. Very interesting. Goal, a documentary about David Beckham, comes out on Netflix. Beckham tells the story of his upbringing in East London, and World Space Week kicks off. This week is meant to celebrate space science and technology worldwide. The 2023 theme is space and sustainability. I'm going to probably have to do a documentary on that one day. The truth about outer space. Earnings today, Tesco and other companies will be out with earnings. If you guys would like for me to do a documentary on space, outer space, go ahead and type space in the comments. Type the word space. If I get enough demand for it, then I will. It's been a while since I've done a documentary. I haven't done a documentary since 2016. If you guys missed those documentaries, you can view them right here on YouTube. They're still here. I've never taken them down, and they're quite in depth. And I think that you will get a lot out of it. Just go to the documentaries playlist on our YouTube channel here on YouTube. All right. So, as you know, we've been living in the wild, wild west for a little bit now, for a few weeks. We're no longer in September, which is traditionally the weakest month of the calendar year. No, now we've entered into another domain, and that's called Rocktober, which traditionally is the most volatile month of the year. This is the month where volatility usually spikes up and only the strong survive. So, hold on, wait a minute. You called the Trump bombing. I remember that. Yeah, I have done so many things like that here on YouTube over the last 10 years. I can't remember all the things I've talked about. So I don't get a chance, like a lot of people like to, say I told you so. I don't get a chance to do that a lot because I forget. I'll say things and I'll post the videos here on YouTube and then I just move on. I've never taken down any of my videos. I've never deleted a video. All of my predictions, whether it be market or otherwise, are still here on YouTube. Win, lose, or draw, right or wrong, all of my work is still here on YouTube. I've never taken down one video. I also have several channels here on YouTube. Most of them are like for private use. But there is a channel I have here on YouTube. I think let me think about it for a second. Let me see. I don't want to tell you something wrong. Let's see. Where some of my older videos are, because I don't know if every video is on the Pulse Wave Trading channel. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, it's not. Okay, this is I thought. I don't see a lot of stuff on here. Okay, so let me find out. Let me just check something out here. Let me see what I can find here. Okay. All right, that's not it. Let me check one other spot here. And I think I'll be able to tell you exactly where it is. Let's see. All right. Let's see what we got. All right, I think I found it. Let's see. Bear with me just. Yep, okay, I found it. Okay. I'm going to post this because I know a lot of people they just don't know because I've had so much stuff here. And I got a lot of yeah, my stuff has been all over the place, man. Let me see here. Okay, nope. I don't know what happened. I guess we have merged a lot of stuff. I was thinking that wasn't the case, but I guess I'm wrong. I guess. Okay, everything is on Post Wave Trading on YouTube, so I take that back. Everything is on here. I was thinking that because we did a lot of migrating. I migrated a lot of stuff, and I know we've been trying to work stuff out. Okay, so if you go to Post Wave Trading on YouTube, yeah, just just click playlist and then click on my documentaries, and you will see those two there. I also have the interviews I've done on there too. I got my old school cartoons on here. And hold on, as a matter of fact, let's do this. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And my mom used to say, I can show you better than I can tell you. All right, so let's see here. Hold on. Okay, that's that one. Okay, I think I found it. All right, let me just pull it up here. This will help a lot of people. You know, people say they can't find certain things. All right. So let me just type it here. All right, here we go. All right, now I can show you my screen. Okay. All right, here we go. So if you can see here, the post wave trading on YouTube, right? You just click the playlist and then you scroll down here. And then here is all the interviews that I did in 2018, interviews from 2019. Here's the documentaries, the 2 documentaries I was telling you about, 2017 interviews, my old cartoons from way back in the day. Those are there. And then this one is dear to my heart. This is the WAN playlist from 2016 when I built it. This is all the major ones I did at Wide Awake News with the late great Charlie McGrath. You see his picture there. All right, so I put that there for you guys. Just some powerful things. I think the earliest that it goes back though is 2013. My ones that I did prior to that are not there. I couldn't find them. I think it was on one of my old computers that blew up. Oh, the prophetic market calls are right here from 2016. I got a lot of playlists on here, as you can see. Just a lot of stuff, things that don't even have to do with the markets and stuff. Everything's on here. But those are the main ones I wanted to show you because those are near and dear. All right. And on the main thing here, yep, we even show the popular videos that we have here. This is the one I did from the May 6, 2010 flash crash. I did this as it was happening before it was even covered in the mainstream news. I covered it. You can see it has 35,000 views. When I did the gold and silver miners prediction, you see that one got 16,000 views. So these are all some of the great videos of all time that I've done here on YouTube in these past 10 years. Whole bunch of stuff. And there you go. So that's where everything's located, just in case you're wondering, for new people who don't know. So if you didn't know, now you know. All right, so the other thing I wanted to talk about is that as we get closer and closer to the end of 2023, 2023 is winding down. It's coming to an end. And you want to think, okay, so with all these different things happening simultaneously, you may be saying to yourself, what in the world's going on and where do we go from here? There's so much news that you really cannot even cover it all because it's just too much happening all at once. And it's hard to stay abreast of everything, you know? So what I try to do is I try to talk about things that the mainstream media is refusing to talk about, or may have a media blackout against, or maybe the algorithms on social media won't allow you to discuss these topics. So I try to cover those. That's what I try to do. And so for those that don't know, and I said at the beginning of the live stream, if you have been missing the end of day reports, we have migrated those over on Rumble now. All right. So you can follow us on Rumble, Postwave Trading on Rumble. And the link is in the description of today's broadcast as well. So if you've been missing the end of day reports, that's where they are. We may eventually just migrate over there altogether because they don't have the hardcore censorship issues that they do here on YouTube. As you know, I've been on YouTube for a long time, and I know I've been basically soft banned, shadow banned. A lot of subscribers have said that my videos don't even come up in their feeds anymore. They don't even see them in the recommended list anymore. My videos used to be at the top of the list on recommended videos, and things of that nature. And since YouTube has changed and morphed into something we don't even recognize anymore, my videos are not being showed, and we've been demonetized and everything else. So it is what it is. So when you see the handwriting on the wall, you have to start making making your way into other venues and platforms. And so that's what we've done. We have several backup YouTube channels, and we also have the Rumble, but we're leaning more toward Rumble now, because we can say what we want to say, talk about the things we want to talk about without the censorship. So if, God forbid, one day YouTube decides they don't want us on their platform anymore, you'll know where to find us. You'll be able to find us on Rumble. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there for you as well. All right. So the thing that I want to discuss with you today, and as you know, I don't keep you long on these shows, we're going to talk about the war drums. There have been war drums beating very loudly as of late. We know about the whole Ukraine thing. We know what's going on with that. I've covered that. I've talked about that here on YouTube. But you've been hearing about Russia, and you've been hearing about them making threats. You've been hearing about China a lot as well. And if you just stop to think just for a second, just stop just for a second and think to yourself, would you really start a war with someone that you depend on as a trade partner? I mean, just think about it. If you are dependent on a country for whatever it be, widgets, gadgets, would you really go to war with that country? Especially if they are a developed country, not a third world country. China's not a third world country. Neither is Russia. Both countries have nukes. They're not third world countries. They're developed nations. They're no different than the US. So why all the war drums? What's really going on? Is China pre-positioning vast numbers of soldiers, spies, and saboteurs in the US? Is this a precursor to a war with China? Is that what we're to believe? Is that what they want us to believe? Well, let's just look at some of the facts. Case in point, there has been a dramatic spike in the number of Chinese nationals that are coming across our borders. The vast majority of them are men. All right, men is enemy number one. If you're a man, especially a man in America, you are the enemy. And the vast majority of those men are of military age. Most of the time, when these men are intercepted by U.S. officials, they claim that they have come to apply for asylum in the United States. Now, of course, they know that their court dates will be set far into the future, because our system is being absolutely overwhelmed by asylum seekers right now. As they wait for their court dates, most of them are released into the United States and are permitted to go wherever they want. So what What this means is that thousands upon thousands of Chinese men of military age have been allowed into this country, and we don't know where they are or what they are doing. According to Fox News, the number of Chinese nationals that are being encountered at our borders far exceeds anything that we have ever seen before. So far in fiscal year 2023, U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered nearly 40,000 Chinese nationals on both the southern and northern borders, for surpassing the approximately 23,500 and 27,800 encountered in fiscal years 2021 and 2022, respectively. In July, more than 6,000 crossed the border, just 2 months after the COVID-19 era rule that allowed for expelling illegal immigrants quickly, known as Title 42, expired. Obviously, these Chinese nationals do not walk to our borders from China. So, how do they get here? Well, it's being reported that many of them began their journeys in the nation of Ecuador. The Chinese migrants typically start their journey in Ecuador, which is visa free for Chinese citizens, as per the diplomat. From there, they head to Nicoli, a town in Colombia's northern coast, which then leads to the Darien Gap, a 66-mile dense jungle reportedly filled with armed guerrillas, drug traffickers, and deadly biodiversity. Some who undertake the treacherous journey allegedly pay smugglers up to $35,000 for help. This is a major national security issue, but the Biden administration isn't doing anything about it. Needless to say, this is greatly frustrating many Republicans. In fact, the chair of the Homeland Security Committee in the House of Representatives recently told the Daily Mail that he is concerned that China may be sending these men here for a specific purpose. Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green, Republican from Tennessee, told DailyMail.com that there has been a massive increase of Chinese nationals tied to the People's Liberation Army, known as PLA, that have gained access to the U.S. by crossing over the border. And there have been over 17,800 Chinese nationals released into the U.S. this year alone, he claimed. Green called the stupidity of the Biden administration's border policies currently in place mind-blowing, because now Chinese spies could act as saboteurs in the same manner Russian military men established residency in Ukraine before the invasion. I think that Green's concerns are quite justified, just as rumors of a potential war between the U.S. and China are reaching a crescendo. We're seeing Chinese men cross the U.S. border in much larger numbers than we have ever before, and they appear to be doing it in groups. Earlier this year, one reporter released video footage that showed hundreds of military-aged Chinese men in Panama heading toward the U.S. border. A reporter released new video that appears to show hundreds of military-aged Chinese men in Panama heading toward the U.S. border. Muckraker.com founder Anthony Rubin said on Fox and Friends First Wednesday that every day, multiple times a day, groups of men are lining up and getting on buses to continue their journeys. There appears to be at least some level of coordination to these efforts. And once they get here, Chinese nationals often end up in places where they aren't supposed to be. The Chinese nationals posed as tourists wandered into a missile launch site in New Mexico, as first reported by the Wall Street Journal. In addition, some reportedly staged a scuba divers in order to get close to a Florida rocket launch site, where others claim to be staying on an army base in Alaska. The operatives have reportedly claimed to be tourists who are lost and unable to find their way to a Burger King or McDonald's coincidentally close to a U.S. military base. Now, these are just a few of the ones that have been caught. How many other spies have successfully completed their missions without being caught? Once migrants are released into this country, they can literally go anywhere. Lately, there have been a tremendous crime wave in Oakland County, Michigan, that is quite a long way from the southern border. It turns out that transnational gangs from South America are specifically targeting expensive homes in that area, and so far, they have been very successful. Transnational gangs from South America are committing high-end burglaries on upscale homes in Michigan, according to law enforcement. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bookert is sounding the alarm over a rash of burglaries targeting luxurious homes. He is warning local residents to secure their houses because the illegal immigrants are committing home invasions to steal high-end goods. The sheriff said the burglars are stealing jewelry, precious metals, high-end watches, expensive purses, electronics, money, and safes. He said the robberies have totaled more than $1 million. Of course, the Chinese migrants that are coming across our borders are not here to rob homes. They're here for other reasons. The point is that once migrants are released into the country, they could end up literally anywhere. At this stage, so many immigrants have poured into that state that even ultra liberal New York Governor Kathy Hooker is calling for a dramatic increase in border security. The New York governor has turned into an immigration hawk after the Biden administration has overwhelmed her state, and specifically New York City, with an unceasing flood of thousands upon thousands of migrants. Appearing on the CBS News program Face the Nation on Sunday, she called for limits on migration at the border and for doubling or quadrupling of Border Patrol agents. She also cast blame on Republicans and Speaker of the House at the time, Kevin McCarthy, rather than Joe Biden, ignoring that it is Biden's policies that have instigated the massive amount of illegal immigration since he took office in 2021. So, will the Biden administration finally do something to address this crisis? Probably not. So, more Chinese men of military age will arrive with each passing day. And when a war with the United States finally erupts, they will be ready to carry out their assigned tasks. Only a very foolish nation would allow the enemy to pre-position tens of thousands of soldiers, spies, and saboteurs, but that is precisely what the U.S. is doing and allowing. Something to think about. But what I want you to take away from this is a couple of things. First of all, isn't that exactly what took place right before the fall of Rome? That the gates were opened by actual Roman citizens and they let the barbarians in. They were paid off. Isn't that the same thing that's happening right now with what we just talked about? Also, isn't this also considered the chickens coming home to roost? Isn't this the same thing that the United States has been doing for decades by way of the CIA, infiltrating democratic countries, murdering, assassinating, taking out their leadership, and installing a puppet leader that the U.S. controls? What's the difference? How do you explain that? You can't, so you don't. Facts are facts, whether you like them or not. It's funny that when the U.S. does it, oh, you don't understand, these people are terrorists and they need to be eliminated, as if the U.S. is the holy angel police officer policing the world, and they can do no wrong and have done no wrong. Very interesting, and also very hypocritical if you think about it. So when we hear about stories like this, you got to ask a question. The hard question is, why is it being allowed to happen? I thought the US was the most technical, advanced nation on earth, with the greatest military on earth, with the greatest security on earth, with the greatest intelligence agency networks on earth. Then why is this being allowed to happen? And even after it's been talked about in the mainstream press, still nothing is being allowed to happen to stop it, not even in the slightest. So you have to ask, I wonder why that is. The answer is, remember 9/11? Remember the Bay of Pigs? Remember the Gulf of Tonkin? It's just something to think about as we're moving forward, and an election is right around the corner. But I'm convinced, 100% convinced, that nothing is going to change. That the American people have been so brainwashed and mind controlled that they will vote the same people back in office. They will vote for the same two-party system. You better believe that a Democrat or Republican will win the White House. An independent will not, because it is all controlled and manipulated. It is a farce. It is pony and bread and circus for your benefit. Presidents in the United States are not elected, they are selected. The two-party system is not a two-party system, it's a one-party system. They give you what they want you to do, and they tell you what they want you to think, and you do it. So nothing to see here. It's the same thing that has been going on for decades will continue. A Republican or a Democrat will get in office. It's just that simple. I don't want to hear your excuses on why that is or why you think that is. The fact remains that it's no longer a government by the will of the people. It's not a government of the people, for the people, by the people. It's a government of large corporations and shadow government figures. That's who runs things. All right? The government runs things by using corporations. If you think about it, America is a corporation in and of itself. Its individual states and municipalities are also corporations. So when you say corporate America, it literally means corporate America. America is one big giant corporate organization. Don't ever get that twisted. All right, folks, that's all we got time for today. Thank you for listening. Remember, we're here Monday through Thursday with these pre-market reports. One thing I neglected to do, and I should have done it earlier, was to go over possible two-bar Charlie setups in the overnight market. It just so happens, though, that there were none. So I guess I didn't really forget after all, did I? Yeah, but there were none. Not today anyway. And that's to be understood because we are in Rocktober and it is happening. So don't be swayed by anything you see and anything that you hear, because when you say things that they don't like, they have multiple ways to silence you and deplatform you and say, well, you're speaking hate speech. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. All right, folks. Until we meet again this evening, you know what it is you need to do. You got your marching orders. Follow the post-trade reports if you have not already done so. Go to posttradeTrading.com and sign up because you're going to need it. You're going to need all the help you can get in these coming days. With that, smash the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, share the videos with friends and family. And I'm out. Peace.